much. And now I know that you are in Germany and you have one of the prestigious fellowship of the world, Marie Curie Fellowship, and it's very tough to get in that kind of fellowship. So can you tell us where are you in Germany right now, in which institute or university? And then I will take it forward with this one. Yeah. What are you working in Germany?
Okay. So, so when I finished my PhD in Ireland, I decided to apply for a fellowship because I try to be more proactive than just wait and what's coming to you. And I was sure that I want to be in research. And this is why I just thought that this is the first step to be independent and get your own fellowship. I did a small course in my institute. They provided some postdoctoral development program, and then I did some course how to write a project. And that was the place where they explained how to write a Marie Curie proposal. And before that, I was not considering, and that was a time when I decided that I want to apply for a Marie Curie fellowship. And then I looked for options because I couldn't apply in Ireland, and also I wanted to move out, and because it's not because I don't like Ireland, because I love Ireland, but I wanted to learn something different in lab, and also culturally, and as a person, I wanted to be a different person. So that's why I decided to move. Then I was considering Netherlands, also France, and then Germany. But then I ended up deciding that, okay, let's apply in Germany. And then I contacted a professor, and I am working in an institute. It's called Leibniz Institute of Agriculture, Engineering, and Bioeconomy. And they work a lot on bioeconomy, and that's what I really liked about them, because in a food processing, or when you talk about food, you also need to consider a little bit the concept of bioeconomy. And my professor here has he was already working on insects. Edible insects, so they are like for food and feed, and I was very much interested. And actually my professor here, it was my PhD external examiner, so I know him from there. So when I decided to apply for Marie Curie, I thought that, yeah, this could be an option because he already know me, because he was my examiner, he knows what my PhD looked like, so maybe he doesn't have a lot of questions about myself. So then I decided to apply with him. And
now you mentioned that you did a course on the Marie Curie proposal writing. Can you share some of the tips, what you learned from that course? Is it useful to attend these kind of courses, and how to use those key points that you learned in preparing your own proposal for Marie Curie, or even for other kind of prestigious fellowships?
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I would say they are really important because they are motivating, first of all, which is the first important aspect of applying for any proposal. And the second, because as a fresh PhD or as a fresh graduate, you don't know what should be in the the sections of the proposal. So, for example, the general trend is that you have 3 sections on excellence, impact, and implementation. And people focus a lot about excellence, which is like your project. And you talk a lot about what methods you're going to use. And people pay a lot of attention on that. And they forget the other parts, which are equally important, because in Marie Curie, it's the excellence part is 50%, but impact and implementation is like 30 and 20. But so in this course, the most important thing I learned that don't over focus on excellence, which is your research. So then we talk a lot about impact. What is the societal impact? What is the economic impact of your research? How is it going to impact education of children or school students during your research? So for example, here I do some workshops for school children, and we try to educate them about future food, because insects are considered to be future food, and then they are really fascinated. So how is it going to impact your society? And then of course implementation, that how you see yourself in next 5 years, how is this project going to help you to progress in your career? So I would say that these courses are important, where you learn to focus on every aspect of a proposal, not only on the scientific part.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, I have also learned this while I was applying for different kind of competitive fellowships. Like when I was doing my PhD, I already had a fellowship, but you are eligible to apply for other kind of competitive fellowship programs. So like you mentioned, like that about excellence, implementation, and impact. So there are different sectors, different points that selection committee considers while they're selecting a candidate for their fellowships. So I was always focusing on one part,
Yeah,
and the students tend to focus because they are very confident about that part and they try to stay in that part. But the other two
exactly.
parts are important because they have the similar percentage of marks allotted.
Yes.
So you need
Yeah.
to focus on that part. Like you said, you should not focus on excellence because I think you already know that part very well.
Exactly. And most of the people who are applying for this fellowship, of course, they have a PhD, they have publications, they are going to talk about their research perfectly. So you are not going to compete on that section because excellence, let's say, everyone, I think almost everyone gets 5 out of 5 in excellence,
Okay.
but you need to focus on impact and implementation. For example, that how are you going to actually sell your project or put your project in a societal perspective? So this is more important. And in Marie Curie, I think maybe you know that only 10% of applications are funded. So actually it's like because everyone who is applying have a PhD and then everyone has publications. So I think it's really important to focus on
Okay.
everything and not ignore some aspects which don't sound important, but they are important. Yeah.
All right, that's an important point that I learned today. That's one is that we have to focus on the impact and implementation. Another one that Marie Curie is a goddamn competitive scholarship. Only 10% student gets selected. So thank you so much for sharing this one. And my now the last and the